Now, there's other opportunities. For example, I was involved for about a year in the original grant review process, and this teaches you a lot about how grant reviewing works, about what kind of requirements grant reviewers look for, and the kind of discussion that goes along with deciding who gets money and who doesn't. It makes you really aware also of the kind of research that other departments are engaged in, because, well, and since I study popular culture, I am not familiar with research in, let's say, okay, plant biology, which I am, by the way, but not because I do it, just because I've read a lot of it, and it really opens your eyes to the wonderful things that our graduate students are producing at the university, and for us to be able to find ways to support that, I think that's a very positive thing that will teach you a lot, and it's a useful skill to have for when you start writing your own grants. Maybe you're not going to submit to Graduate Student Senate for an original work grant, but what if you want an NSA grant or Ford MacArthur grant or whatever, you're applying to the Rockefeller Foundation. Serving in this committee can give you some very valuable tools as to how your work is going to be judged by others. No, it's a learning process, and I was very enriched by the whole experience, and I would love to do it again. And the last thing that I have had the opportunity to do was serve in standing committees of the university. I did a year in the University Curriculum Council, and that was very useful for me personally because I'm very interested in curriculum development initiatives and to know the process of how, for example, a new course gets admitted into the general curriculum. And it's fascinating to see because it also teaches you, like, I'm going to be an academic, so I need to know what the process looks like if I want to design my own courses, and hopefully in the future somebody will let me do that. But I need to be aware of everything that is entailed in that, and I don't think that I would have had that understanding had I not served in this committee.
Cool, very cool. There's actually been a lot going out on the listserv about different committees that need people. So check that out on the WordPress blog. Cynara, also, one other question that I think is fairly important for our constituency. What should people know when they're getting involved? As in, you know, what should they be aware of so they don't just end up, for instance, being the person representing a department who basically just sits there? I know, coming from the same department as you, that when you were our department rep, you were very open and you would, you know, give us all the news up front and say, you know, here's what's going on in Grad Student Senate, here's what's going on with the original work grants, here's what's going on with this, with that, and you were very proactive. And as for, well, any new people this year and or people who are interested in the future, what should they be aware of as far as commitment? Because I personally, as the Student Life Commissioner, have put in a lot of work already this year, and I know that you have as well. Should people be well aware that there will be time commitment, and maybe speak a little bit about why it's worthwhile to put in that time commitment?
Well, it's definitely a time commitment, but that shouldn't sound like too intimidating, because you get as much out of it as you put in. Let's just be frank about that. I really think that when you're representing somebody, that you really need to be willing to have an open line of communication with them. They need to know who you are, how they can reach you. The other thing is that you shouldn't really expect that your constituents are going to come and seek you out and be proactive, or that if you send out an email telling them, well, we're voting on this, how do you feel, that you're going to get a whole bunch of responses, because that's, well, probably it varies from department to department, but sometimes that just does not happen. And it's basically because we're busy, we have other concerns. We're not thinking about, oh, they're going to vote on fees. I'm going to read it on the post. So oftentimes what happens is that even though you communicate the things that are going on to your fellow grad students, they just don't engage. And that can be a little disappointing, but I don't think it's necessarily something that should deter people from serving in a organization like Grad Student Senate. I think that our job as representatives is to keep open lines of communication, and that our constituents, our classmates, our friends make their own decisions about what is important to them. I mean, we represent them, we do it to the best of our abilities. Sometimes this will entail making decisions that you're not even sure how they feel about it. I mean, I wish sometimes that they would tell me, but it's just something that comes with the job. In terms of my time commitment, I put in a couple of hours a month to Grad Student Senate. I can't tell you that, oh my God, I'm working like 5-7 hours a week on Grad Student Senate, because that's not the case. You have times when there's really not a whole lot going on. Then you have times where it really gets busy, and we have issues that are very pressing, that concern us all, that require us to work. For example, we don't know what's going to happen with the fees.
The graduate student fees that we pay, that we all have to pay.
Yeah, we never know. From year to year, that can change. I mean, we have lost funding in our college for travel. These are really serious things, and if we don't speak out about it, we're going to get totally screwed.